Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, we got retail from all angles today.
Lots of retail news this week.
Yeah. Out of Portland, your former hometown, it looks like Walmart's deciding, you know what? It's not working out here.
Yeah, a few months ago, their CEO talked about the problems that they've been having with theft throughout the country. And it sounds like Portland just hit a limit. They officially blame financial issues, but they are closing this spring the final two Walmarts in Portland proper. There still are a handful throughout the metro area, but the
Yeah.
city of Portland will no longer have any Walmarts, which is a real shame. And yeah, since it has been a few years since I lived in Portland, but I did used to live there as a kid and in high school, and it used to be a wonderful town. They're having a lot of problems now. They can't seem to figure out how to deal with their crime situation, and Walmart's not waiting for them to figure it out.
Yeah, I have a different angle on Walmart. The Walmart that I saw in Lake Nona, Florida, on the other hand, if you have not seen that store check, so where I live, Walmart is going head to head with another low cost retailer, HEB. And HEB knocks your socks off when you go in. Walmart, on the other hand, in Florida, it doesn't really have a huge low cost competitor that is extremely competitive. So they're head to head with, you would say, Publix, and Publix is, I mean, not known for its low prices. I'm just going to say it. And the Walmart produce department that I saw should make other retailers take notice, because that is what Walmart is capable of when it is in a good environment, when they put the resources into it, when they are really focusing on fresh produce. I have not seen a Walmart with fresh and full displays like that. And this was not anywhere near the Southeast Produce Council's convention. So it's not like they were zhuzhing up stores for store checkers. I was completely on a different side of town, over by the airport, but not that close. So this was like a day-to-day thing. And Amanda Kiefer from the Healthy Family Project, which is known for produce for kids, says this is her store. You know, this is my store. And she always raves about how great it is. She, of course, you know, spreads it around and goes to Publix and Bravo supermarkets and Aldi, among others. And I didn't believe it, because I mean, I'm going from my frame of reference from my Walmart around the corner, and this one was amazing and just really shows you what they are capable of when they put the resources into it.
Do you think it's a factor of the local Walmart decision makers really putting an investment in, or is it a competitive situation where they know it'll make a difference there, whereas some other parts of the country, it won't make much of a difference, so why make the investment?
A mixture of both. Like, Walmart's pulling out of Portland because they're not profitable there. If they were making money, they would stay. And they're just tired of dealing with the theft. They're probably not very profitable stores. So they're not putting as many resources into it. They're making money in Florida, it looks like, and they're really going at it, and they're really owning that low cost retailer space. And so I think it's a mixture of both. But it also probably has to do with the regional differences, because if you look at the regional landscape, the strongest retailers, I would say, in the Florida market, or at least in Orlando, would be Publix and Walmart. And if you ask anyone who lives in the Orlando area, where do you shop, most of them are going to say Publix and Walmart. No disrespect to Winn-Dixie, which is doing a lot of work. It's just there's not as many Winn-Dixie stores. There was a case where I was over by Freshfield Farm, and there were two Publixes like next to each other. On one of them was a Sprouts that didn't make it, interesting to note, and Publix bought the space and opened a Publix right across the street from another Publix. So well saturated market. So I guess Walmart has only one retailer in mind, and they know that Publix isn't going after low cost.
So you mentioned Sprouts. They made an investment this week.
Yeah, they did. So excuse me. Sprouts quarterly reports are usually just jam-packed full of really interesting stuff with produce. And this happened to be the year end of 2022 for them, their fiscal year. And their executives are really bullish on produce right now. First of all, what they've done over the last couple of years is they have taken their distribution centers, opened some new ones, and they're actually moving one in Southern California. And so now, instead of 20% of their stores being within 250 miles of a distribution center, they've got 85% of their stores are now within 250 miles of a distribution center. And that is really key for programs like local produce, which they said in 2022, they doubled the amount of local produce that they're offering to their customers. And so lots of movement in produce. They were really bullish on their rescued organics program that they launched not too long ago in California stores. I think the world will sit back and watch that, because we've seen these types of programs launch in retail and not make it so far. But Sprouts thinks it's got its target customer dialed in. They're looking for that person that's really keen on healthy food. And I bet you there's some overlap between someone who's keen on healthy food who also believes in buying ugly produce. So, I'm sure there's some overlap there, but we'll sit back and see how successful that program is. But to see that they've doubled local produce, and to expand their distribution centers is really interesting.
Yeah, and they're planning on opening 30 new stores this year, so that's pretty ambitious too.
Yeah, 30 new stores, but they're closing 11. And this is something that CEO Jack Sinclair, when he came on a couple of years ago, Sprouts was in the midst of opening larger size stores. So they were trying to go after a more standard supermarket. And when Sinclair came in, he was really keen on downsizing the stores, going with a more optimized footprint, really talking about getting the most out of the square footage that they've got, and really dialing in on the consumer. So now about 30% smaller is their target. So the stores that they are closing down are actually close to 30 to 35,000 square feet. And what they're looking for, their optimized store size is about 23,000 square feet.
So they're owning their niche better, would you say?
Yeah, that premium, natural, and organic niche. I don't know if you remember, that verbiage in particular was very, very key in the Whole Foods Wild Oats acquisition and the FTC struggles that they had with that. They were asserting that Wild Oats was a premium, natural, and organic. And that smaller format meant that there were not antitrust issues. So that left a vacuum when Wild Oats went away, basically, and Sprouts sprung up. Basically, in the wake of that, it was, a Southern California retailer, Henry's, and pretty successful there. But then we saw some of the executives from Wild Oats go in and just basically became a hydra. where Wild Oats left, we had Sprouts sprout right back up.
Well, one more bit of retail news. Amazon is closing a pretty good amount of their Amazon Go stores. Were you surprised by that?
No, not at all. Anyone who's ever been in an Amazon Go probably understands that. I called it, the first time I ever went, I went to, I think, the original in Seattle, and I called it Amazon, no, because I felt like this was a test concept for that Just Walk Out technology. But they were offering the weirdest stuff. They had like zoodles and no bananas. And that was when the technology was brand new. So I'm sure there were some issues with bulk produce and loose produce. But they really, really needed to focus in on the urban area that they were in, and making sure that they were offering the grab and go kind of foods that people in an urban area are really looking for. And some of those stores, they would be like in the lobby of an office building and not really near a lot of where people live. And there just wasn't enough demand in some of those locations. And so they have been restructuring their brick and mortar strategy. We saw them kind of pull the reins on Amazon Fresh because they had hadn't really established themselves in some areas sufficiently. And then they also pulled the Amazon Fresh pickup locations that they had in Seattle. I also went to one of those right after it first opened. And so it doesn't surprise me that they're pulling back on Go. They used it to learn what convenience needs and how to make it work. And now they're selling that technology to other retailers. So they accomplished their mission with Amazon Go, and now it's moving the concept into larger retail, into Whole Foods, into like airport locations, things like that. So they don't serve the same purpose they needed to before.
Yeah, Portland at Walmart's had a problem with Just Walk Out.
A lot of retailers are having a problem with Just Walk Out. Go figure. You replace all of the cashiers. Pretty much all of the cashiers in the Walmart closest to me are gone. There's one lane that you can go to that is staffed by a cashier, and then there's 40 other self-checkouts. And I had an issue at one of them, like where I had the lady, the minion that like walks around, void a plant that I thought was on clearance and it wasn't. And I'm not paying full price for something like that. It turned out it was still on my receipt. And I had went to the service desk and she's like, oh, thank goodness you came before you left the store. Because if you had left the store, we would have had to check the footage on the security camera to give you your refund. And I'm just like, there's a point where self-checkout's a great idea to, the people who don't want to go through the checkout process, who maybe only have half a dozen, or who maybe just would rather do it themselves. But I think some of these retailers are being foolish in their ambition on who their customer is and how vulnerable they are. And I think Walmart is one of the most vulnerable to theft because people see them as a huge corporation and they won't notice until all the Walmarts in their town close. Congratulations.
Yeah, who exactly won on that one? I have found as a shopper that I have a certain amount of items that if I get over that, self-check does not pay off.
No. I mean, and at Walmart for me, if I've got like school supplies, if I'm there with like 45 items that I had to buy off the school supply list, no way do I want to self-check out that.
No.
If I've just got like 2 plants, I can do that.
Yeah, I think they're going to find the hybrid model is the right way.
Yeah, and especially the number of elderly people who use Walmart. I see far too often those people have mobility issues, or they even just have technology issues where they're not running these things. They don't know how to look up a PLU code, and someone's going to have to come help them anyway. And that's not a problem that's going to go away anytime soon. Those people aren't going to start buying online. Those people are loyal to in-store. Maybe they went to the pharmacy and now they have to go to the checkout lane. It's really short-sighted to cut all of the checkouts out and leave only one left for everyone else. It's crazy, and it does not surprise me that they're having problems, especially somewhere like Portland.
Yeah, it's something that they're working through, no doubt.
Well, and I use the self-checkout at Aldi, by the way. And that is an interesting experience because if you've ever, seen the memes about Aldi self-checkout folks, they are rapid fire, rapid speed. They could beat us all in a best checkout contest if NGA had one of those. And to try to do it yourself, especially if you have 80 items at Aldi, it's terrible. Do not recommend. 0 stars.
No, I tried that one time. My limit is 20, and then I'm getting in line. Like, you guys are way too fast for me.
Right.
Especially since half my item is produce, and those are the hardest ones because they don't all have scan codes.
Right.
Speaking of Aldi, we have a big blockbuster story about them offering some pretty cheap merch. I'm gonna keep an eye on that in a couple of weeks when that comes out. When I scroll through the special item aisle, they have a dozen Aldi clothes and shoes and socks, and nothing's over $10. That's amazing.
That's amazing. And I can't, you know what? I'm gonna have to try to find a way to get you on like one of those influencer merch lists. So they'll send you like a box of Aldi stuff. And so next week you'd be like decked out in your Aldi tracksuit. That would be amazing.
They do have an Aldi tracksuit. I mean, you can't buy it as one, but you can buy the joggers and pullover, and then all of a sudden you're styling Aldi.
Nice. All right. Well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Weekend Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.